What is up, people? We are back with Down the Middle podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Namal.
Doing a special 4th of July edition of Down the Middle today.
A little special.
Yeah, we just wanted to come in and we wanted to say, we both love this country. That's why we do this podcast. We wanted to list some reasons on, even today in 2021, where America is the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of mankind, why we love this country.
Yeah, and if you support your country, you're a racist, white supremacist, and just hate everybody and everybody's differences.
Call me a white supremacist, but I love America. And America has changed a lot in the 250 years we've been around. We're going to celebrate that we're recording 2 days before, but we're going to celebrate that day where we came together and we fought against a tyrannical government and we took our freedom back. But I love this country. I am newly unemployed as of today because I left my job to prepare for the Army. That I will fight for this country. I will die for this country. I love what we stand for. And, I wish we had more people like that, but Let's see why it is that two people can be so crazy to say that they love America in 2021.
Yeah, it's almost as if saying you love your own country is like a taboo line. Like it's very weird to say. Like it's almost weird to say now. Because I don't know. I feel like now saying that people look at you a certain way.
Yeah.
It just in today's political climate. I'm not saying I have a problem with saying it. It's just that saying it now publicly is just more like, oh, really? Like, do you really? Or, like, why are you saying that? Stuff like that. A lot comes with that statement more than it did ever before.
It's part of the checklist mentality because we talk about what kind of abstract things you wouldn't expect to associate with one side of the political spectrum, and this flag certainly associates with the right side of the spectrum. You can get your car kind of destroyed for just having an American flag sticker on your car.
No, seriously, it's ridiculous.
It's the idea that America has a systemic issue and a lot of different. It's a systemically racist, systemically sexist, whatever else you want to say.
Yeah.
Whatever, I don't know what other terms they have now. Placist, colorist,
sizist.
Yeah. That's actually a real one. And,
it is a real one.
And just those reasons are the reasons you can't love that country because that country is wrong from its roots. But then you can look, and if you don't agree with those things, and you can say, no, I love this country because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and just to put image of what the political climate in terms of loving America is, Ryan's pretty much already said it though, but it's more like an anti-America. So it's more like you can't really say you love America, and you can't really say you love America and you can't have both.
Yeah, you can't have both. Yeah.
You can't acknowledge first you can't acknowledge the growth that America's had throughout these centuries that is in its existence. But you also can't say you love America and also admit that there are problems that we need to fix and work on. But that's also acting as if us as individuals, like I have things I have to work on myself, but I also try my best to love myself and stuff like that, and about other people as well. You could love other individuals and still admit your flaws.
And I don't want to respond to that because if I do, I'll be tapping into our ideas because I would love to respond to that, but let's get into the ideas first, all right?
Okay.
So you go first. One reason why do you love this country?
Okay, and just real quick, so we're going to go from back and forth. He doesn't know what mine are pretty generic, so he's probably going to have it as well. But
I wrote 3 extra ones because I figured that we would intertwine with this.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go back and forth and just say our reasons why we really love and appreciate America.
Doesn't mean there's not a lot of reasons to love America, but there are some generic ones. So.
Yeah, there's some generic ones, and I got all the generic ones. I got that checked off on the list.
All right, what you got?
So the first one is diversity.
Okay.
So it's a known fact that America is the melting pot of the whole world. There's no other country that has a diverse population as we do. Mm-hmm. Every single other country has more of a homogenous population, and you can see as many people use other countries for things like socialism and other general things to promote their agenda. It's way easier done in homogenous countries and populations. But the diversity in this country is such a blessing to have, especially growing up in the city. New York City, the most diverse place in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
I think I've been blessed to really grow up in a city where I've been able to learn from so many people from so many different cultures, perspectives, and experiences. Mm-hmm. And that's really developed into who I am today and where I am at right now, and have such a imagine if I was Midwest, homogenous, because those are where the homogenous populations are. But I'd be a completely different person without having the experiences I have right now. And on top of that, America takes in the most immigrants out of every single country in the world. Mm-hmm. So we still have an influx of many cultures, and I think it's a blessing to be around those type of people.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I mean, when we were in first grade, before critical race theory, all you hear is melting pot of the world.
That's really all you heard. Yeah,
that was the biggest thing we heard when we talked about America. That's a great point, and I'll bring up one that plays off of that. Mm-hmm. I said that it's the greatest country in the world for the biggest amount of people, for the most diverse amount of people. Obviously, like we're gonna leave white people out of this. White people do great around the world. We understand, but we talk about Asian Americans who make more wealth-wise than anyone in the world. Asian Americans in America, they're richer here than anywhere. African Americans, Black America is the 13th richest country in the world. They do better here than anywhere else. Latinos do better than African Americans, and we have just everyone has a chance in America. And a big part of that is that we talk about the systemic issues and we talk about the fact that there are those issues in some places, but when you come to different places that don't have that, you can do amazing things if you work hard. And if you just you see these people who come up and they say, well, I have these degrees, I'm African American, I'm Latino, no one is going to stop me from getting to where I wanted to get. And in other places, people will literally stop you from getting to where you want to get because of those things. But in America, if you work hard enough, you do get there. And you see it because we have 10,000 African American officials in government. We have African Americans, black CEOs everywhere, and people who are leading our society from all different races. And it's an amazing thing to see how far we've come from the horrible place that we started in terms of discrimination. And yeah, you can come here, you have that American dream that everyone hates on so much these days, but it's a real thing, and you can tell the stories that show it's true.
Yeah, it's amazing. It actually goes into my second one, which is
we didn't play this.
No, which is opportunity.
Yeah,
like there's no other place in the world that gives you as much opportunity as it does in America. You could sit here and I don't know. That's such a controversial statement to say nowadays.
Yeah.
But we're still known as the land of opportunity, no matter what. I'm a first generation myself. My parents are both immigrants. They came here, in their late 20s. And shout out to all the immigrant parents and families that that came abroad and they left everything they had in their mother country, came here looking for a better opportunity for themselves and more importantly for their kids in the future. And that takes a lot of guts. But imagine that. I'm scared at the thought of that. But at my age, that's what our parents were thinking.
We think about just leaving college, how scary it is to be in the real world. Imagine leaving everything.
They just left everything, and then, like I said, their vision was bigger, and what they wanted and strived for, they got, right? So my parents came from the trenches, to tell you the truth. In short and plain terms, long story short, they came from the trenches. So, just the amount of opportunity you have in this country and the ability to climb the social ladder, socioeconomic ladder, you can't find that anywhere else.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And you do one that plays off of that one. We are the freest country in the world. You talk about, our last video was about Gwen Berry, Olympian, who turned her back on the flag. It's the idea that, we don't agree with that. There's these shows, there's all these riots that tear down statues, there's a big push against the Constitution. America's the only place in the world where we allow you to do that. The idea that it's the First Amendment, that you can peacefully protest, and if you don't peacefully protest, then it's an issue. If you're putting people at harm, it's an issue. But you can look at the country that's done everything for you, that has made you who you are, and you can say, I hate that country. You won't go to jail, you won't get shot, you don't get called a bigot or a fascist or anything. You're allowed to do that, and that's just an amazing thing, because we hear white privilege all day. We hear I even talk about rich kid privilege. I don't like rich kids who are snobby and all that. I talk about that.
I don't like that.
I think there's a real case to be made for white privilege. I know conservatives don't like to believe in that, but there is a such thing. But let's talk about the biggest privilege that has ever existed. That's called American privilege.
That is definitely that. Oh, you spinning bars. You came that's some real truth today.
That's the fact. The fact that you were born here. Because think about the thing. Yeah, you can't control your race. You can't control your sex. Those are things you can't control. And I always say, if you hate on someone for those things, you're a horrible person, because you can't change that. Also, if you're born in communist China, you're born in North Korea, you're born in these places that are oppressive, you can't control that, and you can't leave either. At least in America, if you're born into what some will perceive as a bad situation, they'll say, I was worse off because I'm black. I'm worse off because I'm a woman. You can have a debate about that. There's no debate that if you're born into a communist regime or someone that's really oppressive, then you are worse off and you can't get out.
Yeah.
You're born in America. You're born free. You can do pretty much whatever you want as long as you don't hurt other people. Beautiful.
And just back off that, you know how many people just come to this country just to have their kids be born and be American citizen and then go back?
Yeah.
Just because literally the U.S. passport is so strong and so highly valued in all other countries. It's just, you go anywhere. It's ridiculous. It's so respected amongst the whole world.
Yeah, so when you're hating on this flag and you're saying how much you hate this country, remember that you are given so much the second that you are born on American soil. And that's not a joke at all.
Yeah, and actually my third one is freedom and liberty,
Yeah.
Because we have civil liberties to even protect, like religious freedom to express ourselves without any consequences. Just to name a few countries that people like to bring up, of course, to further their own agendas.
Yeah.
Like Russia, he's the president of Russia, literally killing his opponents. Like how's that freedom? Communist China, you can't be a Muslim. You'll be sent to a concentration camp.
You'll be sterilized.
And people like to bring up Middle East. Women can't dress or wear what they want. France, women can't wear hijabs.
Yeah, I heard
can't even express. So people love to bring other countries into the mix and pick one thing that they like. It's like, see, why we don't got that? Oh, look, we don't got that. The thing is, though, no other country has this many people in terms of diversity, and especially that's one thing. Like, it's so hard to have a population with so many different cultures and customs and norms, and then put like this one little umbrella on top of it and expect everybody to react the same.
Yeah. And I mean, my last one, I want to do two more, last one that we can talk about. Yeah. But this one, to kind of get right off of that one, is just our Constitution and what we were built on. We talk about this stuff that, first of all, our founding fathers were amazing in terms of their intellect. This framework they've set up for a country that can do all that.
Pretty impressive.
And it has contingencies set up where, we have this democracy where we can hear those other sides, and if the people want it, then it wins. And we're at this place where we have this Marxist socialist shift that's only possible because we're open to hearing the argument of our opposition.
Yeah.
And you're just the morals that this country is built on. We talk about capitalism. We talk about hard work and deferred gratification, the two core values to being a capitalist. And that's just what this country is made on. It's made on these just very moral values that you can't do bad things. If you do, you'll go to jail. And we're going to try to make it as fair for everyone as possible. Have they messed that up in the past? Hell yeah. But do we try to fix it now? We are trying to fix it now, and I think that we are very close to getting there. And do you just think about everything that the Founding Fathers put into place, our Bill of Rights that has made this country what it is? I mean, it's an amazing thing. You could just imagine. We're talking, I don't know the exact, 251? How many? No. How many years it was exactly? Whatever.
Yeah, well, you guys just Google it right after.
It wasn't 251, but just thinking about all the thought that went into writing that document, the Declaration of Independence leading to the Constitution. I mean, I'm one of those like hardcore nationalist patriots. Like, I tear up when I hear the Star Spangled Banner, when it gets to land of the free and home of the brave, when you're at the baseball game and they say that. It gets me every single time. I've even got like little emotions coming down right now. Like, I love it. I love it so much. But you just think about those guys sitting around that table writing down that document that set up all this. And just like you said, it sets an opportunity for everyone. It makes it possible for everyone. And it's just an amazing... It's the greatest country in the world. It's an amazing thing that has been put together. And the American experiment is a success, whether people want to admit it or not.
Yeah, and you have to even realize, like, we're here preaching about the liberties and freedoms we have in this country, and we're also have to acknowledge the double-edged sword that comes with that, which is the whole reason why we have a society that's allowed to even think that America's terrible.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it. You can't go to Russia and think Russia's terrible, or go to China and think China's terrible. We're here in this country, and we're allowed to sit in our homes, just talk what we want, and say, yeah, this country's crap, as we're sitting with drinking water and food in our it's ridiculous. I just don't get the whole mentality about that. And especially I think our generation has developed into a generation where we're so quick to point out the faults, but never about the progress. And we've come so far as a country, and we're still developing into a better tomorrow. We really are. That's what I truly believe. And while other countries that people like to note out, like I said multiple times, for their own personal agenda, I know I keep on saying it, but it's so true. And they're almost like regressing. Like, come on, France just put like the ban on hijabs, and that's just one example out of many things that I don't know. It just runs deep. It really does.
And you know what it is? It's a weak generation of people. We sit here in New York. Just think about the fact I can drive a mile and drive past how many 200 food places that I can eat such a diversity of food, of amazing food. You can't do that in other places in the world. It's just weak-minded people that we are surrounded by now. They're not grateful, and they're pessimistic before they're optimistic, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
So they look at all those faults before they look at all those pros. Like, I mean, it really is crazy. Like, they'll always say how white supremacists and Republicans are the worst people in the world. They forget about the people who fought in the Civil War. They always think about the bad stuff before they think about the good stuff, and that's the shift that we have. But like you say, it's because of that two-party system that George Washington warned us about that we have this.
Yeah.
That you're allowed to do that. And you talked about Kaepernick yesterday. The Patriots, the people who have fought for that, they say, well, guess what? That's what I fought to protect.
Yeah.
It hurts me to see, but that's what I put my life on the line for. So, and that's just to go into my last point that I want to open up for just a couple minutes. We're allowed to do all that because we're the strongest country in the world. You know, we're allowed to sit here and have these petty debates about this stuff that, well, maybe not petty, but these debates that from someone who really looks at the history and they look at what we fight about now constantly, they think, wow, is that really someone who's been through Vietnam looks at the fact that we argue if 99% of the crimes in Chicago are sexist, and they look at that and we're just like, that's not what real strife is. But we're allowed to do that because we know our borders are protected and we're protected from the rest of the world, and we can sit here, and I think I'm optimistic. I know we're facing a lot of things that I don't like. There's this Marxist shift, there's this socialist regime that seems like they're trying to take over, and America's a lot different than it was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But we can sit here and smile because we can be optimistic about the future and the fact that people like us, people like you can step up, can use that opportunity, use that American dream, and just fight for what you believe in. If it's the left side, then you can fight for it. The right side, you can fight for it. And that is just, man, that's something crazy.
Yeah, and I believe that this whole shift, well, generation shifts, in my opinion, is all cyclical. You know? And I think the whole Marxist and socialist ideologies are emerging again, once again, because we're also going into more of a privileged society, and we have time and resources to think about that stuff, you know? And people don't realize that it's even a privilege to be able to think like that in itself. And it's crazy. Oh, my mom's calling. Shout out to my mom again. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a privilege to even think like that. And it goes back to the saying that we said about hard times.
Yeah, hard times make weak men.
Yeah.
With people.
Yeah, with people. I don't know where I was going with this, but you guys get the point.
Well, you're saying we're privileged to even think about that.
Right, exactly, yeah. That's my main point about it.
Yeah, so we get to this point where, we're at a plate where hard times are making hard people, strong people, and now we're in an easy time, and we're making weak people who they don't have to worry about that stuff. They don't know that war. They don't know that conflict. They don't know that scare of Russia. And
what it even took for us to get here to be able to think like that.
Yeah, and that's why older people, they just look and they kind of laugh. You know, you see these big rallies and you see these big protests and all the stuff that goes on. It's never like the 70, 80-year-old people who they look at that. Those people are moderate. Even the Republicans and Democrats are all moderate. They look at that stuff and they're just like, you know, I was in World War II. I was in Vietnam. This stuff, man, this is a different country.
And it even circles back into the whole purpose of our podcast and how and why we created the podcast. I mean, it starts with a conversation, right? And we have the privilege to even talk to you about this and post it online and hopefully create a civil dialogue about what we think. Yeah. And that in itself is the greatest privilege anybody will ever have.
Exactly, yeah. And even that's being pushed up against kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is scary stuff. You want to talk about being like a traditionalist, and you see the stuff that's happening now, and it is scary to talk about. The scariest stuff is, I mean, I get the socialism and the high taxes and all that's scary. The immigration is scary, but really the scary stuff is the kind of purge on ideas, critical race theory, censorship of the right side. That stuff is.
I think censorship is really like taxes will come into like ideologies of how society should function.
Exactly.
But when you get into the limitations of individuals and the rights of individuals to express themselves, that's when we get into a scary part of society.
Like abolish whiteness and stuff. I mean, some of the stuff scares me a lot more than the other kind of just like concrete, physical stuff.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it'll never change. This flag, what it represents, has changed. It has changed a lot. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst. But what doesn't change is what it means to be an American. And, what I hope it doesn't change what it means to be an American. Because what an American means is that you're someone who came from a country who there were 13 tiny colonies, and they saw the biggest empire in the world, and they said, that's someone who we should not back down to. They came together, they let them come to us, and they messed them up. And they took their freedom, and then they built this Constitution, they built everything. Just from a group of just ragtag people just came together, and they've created the greatest experiment that's ever existed. That's what it means to be an American, to look at a challenge and say, well, that challenge can't beat me because this is what's in my blood. And I just hope that when you're protesting and you're voicing your ideas and all that, you just remember where you came from. You remember why you're there. And that's the idea that keeps us together. Yeah. That's the idea. If you were far left and I was far right, but we both have this on our back, then we can still, at the end of it, we can progress and we can come back together.
That's the beauty of it, really.
Yeah, the fact that we're forgetting that this is on fire in a lot of places, this is being turned away from, that's the detriment.
That's so scary because it really wasn't like that. You could be far left and far right about 30, 40 years ago. It wouldn't be a huge I don't know. I don't even know what the word for it is right now for like what we're even experiencing right now.
It wouldn't be so divisive. It wouldn't be so against each other.
Or so hard to even have a conversation with one another.
It's stubbornness and it's radicalness, and it's just a kind of defeat of the libertarian mindset. And I just hope we can get back to that. And I think we can. I'll never give up on this country, and I think we can get back to that.
I'm here with you.
Yeah. So, guys, enjoy the 4th.
Yeah.
Just have fun. Just take a couple seconds to just think about why it is we have that day off and what that means,
Yeah.
And we're not saying that America isn't flawed, but hey, America's the greatest country in the world.
Yeah. And I just want every single American out there to realize, like, no matter what you are, black, white, Asian, gay, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And I might be a minority myself, but I think the biggest privilege that we both have is that we're American. And I think people forget that really easily.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you soon. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the 4th.
Peace.
Peace out.